can see through the trees in the distance the peak of the Grand Teton, 13,770 feet. It's not by any means the tallest peak in America. It's not even the tallest peak in Wyoming, but it's definitely the most recognizable. And for mountain climbers, rock climbers, it's a mecca. You have to climb the Grand sometime. It's not a hard climb. There are a lot of easy routes up, and there are some really challenging routes as well. But I'm actually not here today to talk about the Grand. I'm here to talk about the rock that the Grand is made of, which is granite. If you look around at this boulder field, remains of an ancient glacier. We'll talk about glaciers perhaps in another video. But I want to take you over here and show you a little bit about granite, talk a little bit about how it's formed, and how to recognize it. This boulder right here is predominantly granite. If you look carefully at granite, you can see that it is all uniform. Granite is actually in the family of igneous rock. Igneous rock is rock that was once melted and then cooled. When I talk about igneous rock, most people think of volcanic rock, and granite had the potential to grow up to be lava, but it cooled differently. If you go back a few billion years ago, deep under the Earth's surface, there was magma chambers, and all of this granite was molten down there. If it had found its way through a fissure and out to the surface, it would have cooled very quickly and would have looked very differently than this. It would look like lava that we're familiar with. It was hot, it was melted, but its life took a different turn. It found a way out of the magma chamber, and it oozed into cracks and fissures and domes beneath the surface, but was not able to come to the surface, and therefore it cooled underground out of the magma chamber slowly. It's a little bit like a pot of soup. If you put it on the stove and you leave it on the heat, it'll stay hot, but if you take it off, it'll begin to cool down. If you're a smart parent, you leave the lid on and then go look for your family. But if you take the lid off, it cools quickly. Lava cooled quickly because it had no lid. Granite cooled slowly deep underground because it did have a lid. So, if I look back up here at the towering peaks of the Grand Teton, they look anything but deep underground, yet their rock history says that, like the boulders here that were moved down by the glaciers, they were once granite high on those peaks. So if granite cools slowly, where's the lid? One of the problems that I have, and many people have, is we don't understand how long geologic time takes, how old the Earth is. This granite peak is actually quite young compared to most mountains, but it once was deep underground, allowing the molten magma to cool, and the longer and slower it cools, the larger the crystals form in it. If you look at this granite here, you can see beautiful large crystals in it. Well, where's the lid? Here's the granite, but where's the lid? Well, let's go right next door and we'll take a look at a piece of the lid. For some people, they think this rock in front of me is granite, has some similarities, but if you notice carefully, you see twists and turns and bends. Granite doesn't have layers in it because it was all in a big pot and molten together. This rock is in layers, and the layers are twisted and bent because of the pressures within the earth, but the layers indicate that it's not granite. It's actually a rock called gneiss. G-N-E-I-S-S. Gneiss. It was once the lid for the granite on top of the mountain there. So if you look at how tall the Grand stands today, and imagine once it had layers and layers of rock on top that have eroded away over eons of time, and the lid, as well as pieces of granite, are strewn about on the flanks of these old glacial moraines as they've been eroded down over centuries. Now, anyone that knows me well knows that I have a really dry sense of humor, so I'm going to tell you a really bad joke here. This is a nice rock, but some people take it for granite. Thank you for listening.